Hi, my name is Ron Ario. I'm president of Wake Up World Publishing, and welcome to the Wake Up Cryptocurrency Fund video. I'd like to introduce Stephen E. Schmitt, the CEO of Wake Up World Publishing, and Matt Hutchins, our Wake Up Cryptocurrency Fund Manager. Stephen E., why don't you go ahead and start the video with?
Yeah, hey, this is really exciting, guys. What we have going on right now, we are going to have 100 spots, and it's going to be really fun, and we're going to really teach and educate as we go too. And this whole video is for you to get all your questions answered. We're going to go one by one and just make it really simple. And basically what we're doing right now is there's going to be 100 spots for $1,000. That's USD money, $1,000. So here we go. I'm going to ask the first question to our fund manager, Matt Hutchins. And Matt, why are you so excited about blockchain and cryptocurrency?
Oh, thanks, Steve. It's a really good question, actually. And look, there's a growing belief amongst people that are aware and understand this technology that it's the fourth industrial revolution. And I know that's a really big statement, but you know, we've had the steam engine, and we had mass production, and then we've got the digital age, and now we have a completely new era where we're having a change in the economic model from hub and spoke to completely decentralized, where there is no longer a central authority. You have all of these different computers that can both be a hub or a spoke. So instead of having middlemen, and instead of having, you know, an authority that you have to go through to process a transaction or a request, every part of these computers all over the world can participate in a consensus model to authorize your transaction. So this just creates massive innovation in business and different sorts of, you know, crowdfunding, and honestly, the possibilities are just endless.
Awesome. So let me ask you as well, Matt, what are the actual advantages of using cryptocurrency, if you want to dive deeper into that question?
Yeah, look, that's a good one too. If we take just a prime example of banks, so at the moment, if you have one bank that is in Ohio and one bank that is in Wisconsin, what this bank here has to do is it has to contact this bank to see if the money that you want to transfer over to this bank, if these guys actually have that amount of money over here. And that's called liquidity. And so all of these banks around the world and all the central banks are all connected. They store all of their money in all of these other banks. So it just doesn't really make sense. And if you are trying to transfer cross-border, so across to other countries and that sort of thing, the liquidity is usually not there. So this is why they have fees like 7%, 12% to go across, you know, Western Union to different countries and those sorts of things. Cryptocurrency, it doesn't require the liquidity to actually be there. So it's a huge advantage. So we're talking about accessibility, low fees, quick transfer time. I mean, instead of you're talking a week or two to transfer funds, you know, it's going to be there in several hours. So in terms of that portion of the technology and how it actually works as an advantage, you know, those advantages just for banks are massive. But in terms of, you know, the guy that's sitting there in Uganda that has a mobile phone and no actual bank account, he can get money to his digital wallet on his phone, send it to his friends, or be paid for a service that he offers in his hometown without the need of other technology. So what it's actually going to do is through adoption, it's going to unify people to be able to get monetized and be able to get paid for things that previously under the current system is just not possible. So the future is just, it's amazing with this technology.
Yeah, so powerful. Okay, so here's a question out there. What's the difference between cryptocurrency and blockchain?
That's a fantastic question. So cryptocurrency is the utility or the tool used on the blockchain. So cryptocurrency is the monetary value or the worth or the store of value for the utility of that blockchain. So there are several cryptocurrencies that are just used for payments and that sort of nature. Whereas blockchain is the underlying technology beneath cryptocurrencies that enables cryptocurrencies to exist. So blockchain essentially is you've got a bunch of computers that link together and they all run the same mathematical algorithms. So the way that it works is everything connects together to form this entire framework, and every moment or every minute, depending on the blockchain, there is a new block, and all these transactions then come across to each block. And once a block is out, it's written, it cannot be deleted, it cannot be corrupted, and nobody can mess with it. Once it's out there, it's out there. So it's out there forever, and it's just, it's amazing stuff.
Wow, that's exciting. So in the spirit of having this be an educational video, what makes blockchain different than the internet?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. So, well, we all know about the dot-com revolution and the internet and how it worked, and a lot of people wish that in the 90s they had gotten into it. I know I did. But blockchain is different in that you have a truly decentralized model. So with the internet, you still have to go through authorities like, you know, ISPs and all that kind of stuff in order to get your data from one place to the next. Whereas blockchain is truly, well, it's ingenious the way that it connects everything together. It doesn't rely on any central authorities. So in terms of what it can do, I mean, you can store anything on the blockchain. It just depends how the algorithm is calculated and the utility and process to get the data on there. So it's different from the internet in the way that it is decentralized. It has its own governance in itself. It's not run by a central body, and it's external to any political frameworks or anything like that. So you have big giant teams of developers that work on these projects, and they all collectively decide how they work and where they go. So it's not like there's one guy who's going, well, we're going to design it this way and it's going to link in with this. They have a group of guys, and there's a couple of projects that are adding, you know, like 50,000 of developers for their projects per month. So if you just think about, you know, that level of human interaction and collaboration into a technological project that's going to change the world. I mean, we had the internet, which is basically just a couple of ideas from different guys, whereas the blockchain and what it can mean for humanity and the way that these blockchains are being positioned, you have a lot of really clever and amazing people contributing to projects and deciding how they get built and what they do. So it's very different from the internet in terms of we actually have a massive group of people collaborating on something that's going to be meaningful and valuable for the world.
You know, that's so powerful too, because, you know, Wake Up is such a movement. We have people all around the world, and it sounds like that's what blockchain is. You know, it's all around the world. Same thing with Wake Up. This is a question that, you know, we all know that we hear about. Even some of us, we get hacked, like in our computer. Now, can blockchain, can it be hacked? So if someone has their money, can they hack their money?
No, so the blockchain itself can't be hacked.
Okay.
And this is something I think really people just need to understand, because there's a differentiation. So you have miners, you have the blockchain, and then you have wallets. So in this space, look, the miners can be taken over if they're not set up correctly, but it's very, very rare. The blockchain itself cannot be hacked. Once a block has been written, it can't be changed. So whatever is going onto the block then gets written in that moment, and it can't ever be changed or disturbed. So what's being written in that block gets decided amongst, you know, it might be 50 or 500 different computers, and they all have to agree. So in order for the blockchain to be hacked, you would have to hack those 500 computers that are deciding on one individual thing into that thing. We all know how hard it is to actually hack one computer. You have to hack 500 or more at exactly the same time in order to be able to do this. Yeah. Which you would need. I mean, these computers themselves have extraordinary processing power and everything like that. So to be able to do that, it's not actually humanly possible. So what people really going to actually need to understand is the only a portion where there is a chance to be hacked is at the wallet level. So the wallet is where your funds go in and out. And I have looked into all of the different security features and all of the details, having been in IT for a very long time, about how we can secure this stuff and make sure that it can't happen. So that's a whole other video in itself. But we're basically fully on top of making people's funds extremely secure and protected for the future.
Awesome. So Bitcoin seems to be the most popular cryptocurrency out there. What do you think about it? And what are the alternatives to Bitcoin?
Oh, look, Bitcoin was the first, and it definitely won't be the last. It was groundbreaking. It was made by a guy called Satoshi Nakamoto that we can't find. We don't know who he is or how it worked. It's a bit of a mystery, but it was the first framework that birthed, this wonderful idea about blockchain. And Bitcoin still has a very strong community, and they have their own merits. The issues with Bitcoin are more to do with scalability and transactions per second. So, they are never going to compete with the Visas or the MasterCards or anything like that. So that's why it hasn't really been adopted. People buy it because it's a store of value, and people perceive it as being digital gold. So what happens is you've got a lot of these different currencies up in the market space, and traders and investors, they buy Bitcoin, and then these other ones go up. So they start going and investing into these ones. And then when they go up, they sell back and get more Bitcoin. So it's always going to be a store of value until it really gets taken over. It's a very, very good platform to store value, but I don't believe it's going to increase as much in value over time, let's say 5 to 10 years, as some of the other ones that we can potentially target.
I see.
Now, do you think, since cryptocurrency came into play, you think it's here to stay forever?
Oh, definitely. Cryptocurrencies, they're 100% the way of the future. The problem that it solves is to do with paper currencies and the fractional reserve system, and the way that we have a debt-based system for governments and for banks and all this kind of stuff. And it's based very loosely, if we look at it, based on gold or silver, whichever currency you want to address. The problem is that they can exercise a change in supply anytime they want. So you have physical currency which is backed, which can still be counterfeited, by the way, and can still be money laundered, because once you have the cash, it's you can do whatever you want with it. People are still going to accept the cash. It's not going to change. Whereas in a digital world, if you have 2 Bitcoin or you have 5 Ethereum or whatever it is, these coins themselves have unique IDs, and they're all trackable on the blockchain. So once you and that coin itself has an entire life cycle, and you can see where it's gone and how it's gone here and there, and it's all fully trackable. So why it's here to stay, why it's important, is you have things like AML, which is anti-money laundering. You have KYC, which is know your customer. And you now have all of these different regulations to make sure that people that are investing in this space are actually who they say they are. There's pretty stringent processes to get the authority to be able to even buy this stuff now. You've got to be who you say you are.
I see.
And why it's going to stick around is because it's so much more valuable to be able to send money from here to Peru or here to China in 30 minutes. Like I can go onto my wallet right now and send it to Malta, or I can send it to Tokyo, and it'll get there in half an hour. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. It's just very easy.
Yeah, and I got your fund, so thank you. I got it already.
Well, that's good, Steve. I'm glad it worked out. The training's worked. Excellent.
It happened fast. I love it. I like the quickness. Great.
So Matt, given that more and more people are starting to learn about blockchain and cryptocurrency, what do you think the market sentiment is?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one because we have different portions where there are skeptics and there are people that are holding on their coins. There are some people that got in around about December last year and they're still waiting because otherwise, their value has to return before they can really do anything with it. But in terms of the market itself, there's trillions of dollars waiting on the sidelines from institutional investors. And they're waiting for things like the CFTC and the SEC to give green lights. And this is the same type of thing all over the globe. When this happens, you are going to see traditional investors, stockbrokers, traders, they're all waiting. All these hedge fund managers, they're all waiting to get into this space. And look, I'm not trying to really amp it up, but the sentiment is that people are excited about it. They're excited about what it can do, how it can change the world. And what it can do for people's livelihoods. And if you understand the technology, it's amazing. And there's guys, there are major companies like AWS, as in Amazon, Microsoft, that are all investing into blockchain. I mean, take the article that I saw the other day, and I put it out on my own personal Facebook, where the Australian government has made an agreement with IBM. It's $1 billion Australian agreement to look, research, and implement blockchain solutions for the Australian government. That is fact. That is happening in Australia in 2019. So what's going to happen is this: we have some FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the press. And once some of these regulations go away, there is going to be a lot of money going into this market. So what happens is, you have this tiny little circle, which is the market at the moment, and it's going to expand. So all of these coins then go up in value alongside things because everything gets traded back to some of the main coins. So I'll leave that where it is now, but let's just say things are really good right now. It's a really good time. And the sentiment is only going to get better.
Wow. Beautiful. Matt, I'm a very intuitive guy, and that's why when we started talking about this, I just feel it. And if we're not changing in the times, we're left to pass. And a lot of times, poverty happens that way. If they have one job and they get laid off, and they just don't know what to do, so they have to expand their mind. So that's what I see happening with what we're doing with the Wake Up Fund. We're expanding everybody's mind. We're all coming in it together. And that's a question I have, is that, everybody's putting in $1,000. I mean, what do you think is the market potential of not only our fund, but overall market potential of what could happen?
Oh, that's a really, really great question. So I'm going to quote Mike Novogratz, who is a billionaire Bitcoin investor, and he was working for different financial institutions as well. He's a pretty big authority. He actually has come out and openly in an interview and stated that in 2019, we could be looking at a $20 trillion market. So at the moment, we have 250 billion in the market, the entire market cap. So if we're talking 20 trillion, that's, my maths, I think it's about 8.5 times the market now. Is that right? No, actually, sorry, that's 85 times the market. So if we have a look at that,
85,
if we examine that, the median increase for 85 times the market share is going to be very, very, very high. Most people look at investments, for 6 to 12 months, 18 months, and they're hoping for maybe 5% return, 10% return.
Yeah.
We're looking for that in a month. That's what we're looking at because we've hit the bottom, and now the only way is up because they can't pull any more money out of this market. The technology is too powerful. It's undeniable. I just can't tell you how excited I am about this for people.
So Matt, let me ask you then. So what's it going to take for it to reach those levels? What is it going to take? Yeah.
So we need some better regulations about things like ICOs. So ICO is an initial coin offering, and that's how cryptocurrency gets launched. And what really sort of positioned the market into volatility last year was There were a lot of ICOs that were launched and weren't particularly honest, and I personally steered clear of a lot of these. But there was a very high percentage. So what we need to do is there needs to be a better screening process and a better validation process for a lot of these ICOs in order for them to be approved to even be able to launch and be crowdfunded. So that will certainly do something for market adoption and for hedge funds and for angel investors and those sorts of guys. But really, what it's going to take is we need the tools and we need the framework set up for institutional investors. And that institutional money we're talking about from the NASDAQs and those different stock exchanges, where the tools and all of the liquidity is available for them to be able to start hedging into crypto, because there's a lot of people that are concerned about this potential upcoming financial crisis, and if and when that happens, those guys that are in traditional markets, they're going to have some problems. So they usually hedge in gold, and gold is a great store of value. But the sentiment that is also my belief is that cryptocurrency in Bitcoin, even if you just want to pick Bitcoin by itself, is a far better hedge now than gold. Because if you invested into it last year, you still would have made something like 60% just in a year, even with that massive peak up and down. If you had invested it here, and even if it went up there and then back down here, this is still 60%. Wow. You're not going to get that with gold. So people are realizing this. It's like, well, it's here. The technology is undeniable. It's not going away. We need regulations. We need guidance. We need education. And that's another thing, is that there are lots of blockchain courses now going into universities. Ripple, which is another one, they've put $50 million into places like Harvard and that sort of stuff. So, look, this is coming. It's inevitable.
It's coming. I see it.
It's inevitable, and it will come. It's a potential chance it will come this year, but definitely next year. So,
wow. And I've been educating myself and learning a lot. And so, what about you, Matt? What do you think is the best cryptocurrency out there? Because there's so many of them. What's the best out there?
Perfect question. Perfect question for right now. So, look, Bitcoin is great because it's always going to be a store of value that everyone trades against, and it's always going to go up in value. And people always look at Bitcoin as being one of the best, and I'll agree it will be one of the best. However, its little brother, Ethereum, which is created by Vitalik Buterin out of Canada, I tend to believe very firmly that Ethereum is a very long runner. It will be here for decades. What it is a much better project. It has much better scalability options. We have better transactions per second. We have 50,000 developers a month going across from regular software development to Ethereum. We have an excellent community that democratize their processes, and they look at what is really valuable for the community and how these projects can be applied. So that's just part of it. But then we have another thing called the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, and that is a group of not small players. We have Cisco, we have Amazon, who just joined. We have Microsoft, and there's a bunch. There's like 55 of the major corporate players that are part of this Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. And what they're doing is, Ethereum is a blockchain that has this feature called smart contracts. And it is just incredible. Bitcoin doesn't have it. So this is why we're not looking at Bitcoin. Well, one of the reasons. But Ethereum has smart contracts. It has the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. It has a massive community. It has great technology, and they're constantly updating the framework. People are agreeing about how this is being built. There's a unified vision. And what's happening is there are literally hundreds of other coins and tokens being built on Ethereum. So it has been market validated. People have already gone and built projects on it and then migrated across to their own mainnets. So from just about every angle, we have a long-term project that also has an excellent roadmap that's going to have a continued excellent future because of all of the developments going across. Like every single part of the way that we can look at this with every lens shows us that Ethereum is better than Bitcoin in the long term. So
I agree 100%.
Wow.
So awesome.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, and I'm not going to get started on the fiat money system, but how do you see long-term the fiat money system and the cryptocurrency interchanging with each other?
Well, this is a very, very interesting topic. And I think the question is really about how adoption goes and how utility is implemented. So something is only ever as good as it's being used and how it's being used. So what we sort of, there's a lot of people that see that what's going to happen is, so you have fiat at the moment here, and you have crypto at the moment here. And these two, at some point, this will gain enough momentum to be running side by side, because you have all of these investors in the regular financial economy that are going to be hedging across to here, which makes this more valuable and more important and more validated in the space of being able to, apply its use. So you have more and more money going from here to here, which makes this just as important in parallel. At some point, this is going to have a tipping point. And when that happens, they're just going to keep printing more money and giving it to people. So what happens with that is, you have inflation, you have all these other facets. At some point, this is going to devalue. And this is why I really got into this space, because I'm really passionate about helping people where this happens. Once people's money, once their fiat currency starts to devalue, all of their hard work, all the money that they have put in, that they have built, all their foundations for financial future, everything, it's going to start to become much lower value. And that really hits me. It really hits me home. So what we want to do is, when it starts to become more parallel, we need to figure out the next phase of how do we get this fully utilized for everyday life. And at some point, this could mean someone's $1 million that they have today could in fact actually be worth, say, $200,000. And for me, that's really powerful, because people have put so much time and effort into doing this. So I'm really passionate about figuring out how we can get this across to this. So when this implodes, everybody who's worked so hard is prepared, protected, and ready for this new financial economy. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And, one thing with, Matt, when we first started talking and building our relationship, I saw that, your heart is so big to help mankind. And that's what Wake Up Movement's all about, is that, hey, we're a consciousness. We're all on the planet together. Let's be a team. Let's all help each other. And so that's one thing. And my last question, we'll end it here, is, what's the safest way to build value through cryptocurrency? And I want you to talk a little bit about your heart, about why you're doing this, Matt. You touched up on it a little bit, but I want you to go even deeper and talk about the value.
Yeah, okay. So, people know that I've been both in the IT space for a long time, but I've also been, really, really passionate about consciousness. I sort of went through my own awakening, which was pretty brutal. And I sort of found myself in this position, wanting to be able to be financially free so that I could be in complete 100% divine service. So I all of a sudden realized that we have this massive opportunity to free people from financial slavery. And I sort of went through the tools about how to do this. So for me, what I'm really passionate about, and I won't get too esoteric on people, but what I'm really passionate about is setting people up for detaching from financial enslavement, so that they can move more into their own service-based opportunities, find their purpose and work with it, and not have to concern so much about money. So this is my intention personally for myself, and I've now found something that is going to be able to do that on a mass scale, not just for me but for other people. So if just to answer your first question, the first thing is if people want to just buy cryptocurrencies, the best way to keep it safe, if they're not going to join it up in a fund or anything like that, the best way to keep it safe is to store it in a hardware wallet. So, that is a whole other video in itself, to make it easy for people, and we can walk people through that, especially with what we're doing for investment space. But honestly, the best way to do it is to have a look at investing in a fund with people that you trust, people that you can contact, people that you can get the answers that you want, that are explaining the risks, that are explaining everything to you in a way that you can digest and understand, and that you feel that their intention is pure. We are doing this so that we can help everybody financially. It's not for any specific person to go off and buy a yacht. It's just, we're going to help you. This is the first of many funds. I see 50 to 100 of these things coming up. As people move forward and they understand the technology, they're probably going to start investing more, and we'll just have more of these available. The purpose is that we all contribute to this, to build the funds up. The funds will make value. We will continue to put more into different funds, and all of a sudden, the value that we have has gone up, massively at some point. And we don't have to rely on things like full-time jobs in order to survive. So we then go from basically just survival and being in a job to, I may actually have enough money just with this. Let's just call it, 2 years, 2 to 5 years. I may actually have enough money with this to eject from the space where I'm in a job where maybe I don't like, or have enough money to do that incredible project that I've always wanted to do, like build a community, or go and open up a retreat center, or whatever it might be. This is financial enablement, and that's the purpose. Is whatever someone wants to do, we don't want to spend all of our lives working. We want to spend our time doing the things we love, and that's what it's about. Yeah. I'm so passionate about it, yes. And I feel like this is it. This is what we've got.
And I have one last question for you, Matt. We're opening this fund for 100 people at $1,000 a piece. Maybe since you're the fund manager, maybe you can kind of expand on how you manage a fund, and then how people will actually be able to monitor the progress of the fund.
That's a brilliant question, actually. So, so the fund itself, there's some trading processes which are sitting on a secure virtual private server. And the intention for this is to make it completely transparent. So once it's up and running, when we've shifted everyone's value into this online exchange in order to be traded, everything is transparent. So essentially, we take fiat currency, we buy cryptocurrency, and then we put it in an exchange, and the exchange is hooked up to a trading system, and the trading system trades all of these little coins against our parent currency. So this little coin goes up 1% from when we bought it. It gets traded back, and then it does that, say 50 to 80 times a day, and we make somewhere between 0.5% and 2% a day. So our aim is to make 0.5% growth on the entire fund every day. And so over compounded, that equates to around about 16%. So that's around about the margin that we want. It's possible that we will make more, but I really want to be conservative with this at this point in time. So the idea is, what we're going to do is all of the trades, everything is going to be streamed, whether it's be YouTube or whichever channel we're going to use. All of the processes, you'll be able to go on there and see how it's trading. Also, the intention is to get everybody who's on the fund a web login so that they can check it out on their phone, drill in to see which coins we've bought and all that kind of stuff, and how it's working. And we'll have newsletter updates at least every week, so that people can see, why we have devalued this specific coin, and why we have bumped, the shares that we want to buy for these coins up, all of the different reasons. So we've got the finger on the pulse with the market. We have the best leading edge trading systems available. We have all the technology to show people what it's doing and how it's going about. And it's really, doing our best to show people that, this is how it goes. If you have questions, we can answer it. You can place your faith in us because we're real people. You can contact us at any time, and we will have the answers for you. So,
awesome.
And how can people get started, Matt? How can they get started doing this? Because we have 100 spots. And what's funny, we just put this out without even doing this, and the spots are going fast right now too. So how do they get started?
Yeah, that's really good. So we may actually end up having a launch too.
Okay.
We'll see how we go. So if people want to be part of the fund, they want to claim their share. This video will be on the website, and it's either going to be up there or it'll be down there. There'll be a little button that says claim your share. It'll be plain as day. You go in there, you buy like a ticket, and we work the details out from there. So go ahead, everybody. Give us your questions if you have any questions. Otherwise, get straight on the website right now and claim your share, and we can get some financial freedom for everyone.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks, Matt, for sharing so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Matt. And
you guys.
Everybody have a good one. Wake up and stay awake.
Bye-bye.
Stay awake, guys. It's like this, man. There we go.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.